Courage is contagious, and we like to see it spread like wildfire throughout the nation. Welcome back to the Gold Report, where we hope to inspire you to be 10% more courageous in your daily life. I'm so glad that you're here. Please like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm very excited to introduce our guest to you today. We'll be right back. The WHO Pandemic Treaty is a direct threat to our national sovereignty. If we've learned anything since 2020, is that we cannot allow other entities to control our agenda. Whether they call this a health-related agenda or by any other name, you must reject the WHO Pandemic Treaty today. Please go to whocontrolswho.com and sign our petition. Thank you for your support. Today, our guest is Mr. Walt Heyer, who identified as a transgender woman for 8 years and now has a passion to help others who regret gender change, what people call detransitioners. He travels extensively to share his story of what he's gone through medically, socially, culturally, politically. He appears at conferences, churches, universities. He's the author of numerous books on his experience. He's appeared on numerous radio and television shows in the United States and Canada. In fact, that's how I first came to learn of him, is watching an episode that he had done on a podcast. His articles have been published online. His many books are a welcome resource in understanding this issue. Mr. Walt Heyer's latest venture is a feature film based upon his remarkable story, Who Am I? So we will hear directly from him about his experience growing up as a young boy and how he found himself in the middle of transgender issues, even as a young child in the 40s and the 50s. I'd like to say hello to Mr. Walt Heyer. Thank you so much for joining us today, Walt. Really appreciate having you here and look forward to our good conversation today.
Well, thank you, Doc. I'm glad to be on. It's a thrill for me to be able to join this conversation because I think we're probably pretty well aligned on our thinking.
So I came to learn of you, I think about 5 years ago. So I think it was before the COVID nonsense. I'm pretty sure it was before that, maybe 2018, 2019. Mm-hmm. And I was incredibly fascinated by your story. And I'm hoping you could just recount some of that story for our viewers who have not heard it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, my story starts in 1944, which is quite a long time ago. I know I don't look that old, but I was 4 years old when my grandmother made me a purple chiffon dress and told me how cute I was. And she was a seamstress. And, you know, in 1944, there were no words or terms or anything. This was just something my grandmother did that told me to keep it a secret from my mom and dad, because obviously she probably knew something was wrong. I didn't know anything was wrong with it. I was just felt like I was playing a game with grandma that she wanted to do. And then, you know, as I look back on it, I realized it's child abuse to make a dress for a boy and do this repeatedly over 2.5 years. It's emotional and psychological child abuse. So that kind of started the process of confusion. And then my father, when he found out that his mother-in-law had been doing this to his son, he blew up. I could never go back to grandma's. And he was confused himself about what had happened and what his son was going to turn out to be. So I think he believed he was a good man, but he was shocked by this. And still 1946, 1947. And so he decided that heavy discipline, maybe he could, you know, shape me into a man, because he was afraid something was really going to go bad wrong. And then his adopted brother, who was a teenager at the time because of the purple dress, decided to begin sexually molesting me when I was 8 and 9 years old. So the purple dress, while itself was really harmful to me, the consequence of purple dress was even additionally more harmful, the physical abuse and sexual abuse that followed. So, you know, I didn't know what that meant. I finally, you know, and Christine Jorgensen popped up on the news, I think in 1954, I'm not sure of the dates, but sometime in the mid 50s, as someone who went through this change. That was the first time I'd ever sort of leaned into it and thought, well, okay, this might be where I'm coming from. And so that was without any other opposition. Nobody's, I've had no therapy. I've had no way to know what was going on. I had identified as Crystal West by the time I was 13, privately. Only with a few people did I sort of what they call come out.
You're listening to The Gold Report with Dr. Simone Gold. To watch this week's full episode of The Gold Report, please visit www.thegoldreport.com.